What is up everyone, moving back again with another video, and today it's going to be everything I watched in the month of December 2022. And I just want to quickly say Happy New Year to you all. I hope it's going to be a good one, and thank you so much for all the support in 2022. Everyone who watches my videos, subscribes, it means a hell of a lot. I love doing this and I hope you enjoy the content. So you know how these videos work, just go through everything I watched, whether it be movies or TV shows, and I'll just give my mini thoughts. So let's just get into it with the first thing I watched in December. First up, we have She Said. This is a story about the Harvey Weinstein scandal and how it all came to light when the New York Times got the scoop, basically, of his sexual abuse towards women. I thought this movie was okay. I don't love it as much as a lot of other people did. I've seen it very high on people's rankings and stuff. It's a very, very talky film. Now, I don't mind dialogue-heavy films or anything, but it just felt a little bit flat at times. It felt like it was a bit too clever for its own good. Some good performances in there, but overall, I found myself just a little bit bored through the movie. And I've seen another movie like this called Bombshell, which didn't get as much recognition, but I thought that was a much better film. However, it's okay. I give it 3 stars on my Letterboxd. Nothing to write home about, but a watchable movie. And if that's your sort of subject matter, or you like these true crime, whatever, you know, scandals getting blown up, and you want to be interested in what happened, it's definitely worth a watch. So, first up, for my first time watch at the cinema was She Said. Next up is going to be my new release of the month. I've done a full review for this on the channel, which I'll leave down below, and that is RRR. This is a 2022 Tollywood film, I believe, not Bollywood. I think Tollywood is sort of part of the Indian movie production. I read it up on Wikipedia, and that's sort of what it is. But anyway, I was blown away by this film. This is the first film I've ever given a 10 out of 10 to on this channel. I just loved it from start to finish. Now, the reason it took me this long to watch it, it was 3 hours long, but I didn't want it to end. I mean, I don't mind long movies, and I just had to find the time frame to watch this film in, and I was blown away. There is so many great moments in this movie. It's a very simple film with a simple story that follows these 2 guys who become best friends, really, and one of them is trying to get this girl back that was stolen from a village, and the other guy has been sent by the people who stole the girl to catch him, but they kind of don't know, and they become best friends. They don't know they're kind of after each other, basically. But there's so many great action scenes in this. I was watching it, and I felt like a little nudge on my shoulder saying, this is why you love movies, isn't it? And I was just smiling from ear to ear all the way through it. Every other scene is an explosive cinematic masterpiece. I wish I would have seen this on the cinema. I wish I would have went. I remember looking on my audio and going, what is this RRR? And I just sort of wiped it away and thought, I don't know what that is. I've never heard of it. And it came to Netflix, and then I heard people starting to talk about it, and it got my attention, and I'm so glad I watched it. The best movie of 2022 by a mile. You owe it to yourself to watch this film, because I've never seen anything like this in my life. Of course, I've seen action scenes and stuff done well, but this movie just gives and gives and gives, and you are just never bored. It's just the most fun time I've had all year with a film. So that is RRR. Definitely worth a watch. Next up is another movie I watched on Netflix, and that is The Sea Beast. I've had this on my Letterboxd watch list for quite a while now, and I heard it was kind of like How to Train Your Dragon, but with a sea creature, and that's basically what it is. Nothing special at all. I'm not really, I've got to say it now, I'm not really into movies about pirates and stuff. I watched all the Pirates of the Caribbean films, didn't do much for me. I've seen other movies that contain this subject matter, the theme of pirates, and they just never really do anything for me, and this one was quite the same. Although it was a decent watch, I didn't dislike the movie or anything. It's just very average to me. The animation style was great, apart from the sea monsters. Like, all the animation on the characters and stuff, and the locations were spot on. But I think more work could have went into the sea creatures. They look very, very bland, and like something my son watches on, you know, like his kids' programs and stuff. But everything else was good. It was just a real weird mismatch of animation there. But overall, it's a decent film. If that's your sort of thing and you want a good animated movie to watch, I do recommend it. It's not too bad. Next up, we have Violent Night. It's weird talking about a Christmas movie after Christmas, but I will stay brief on these Christmas films. This follows David Harbour as Father Christmas, or Santa if you like, and he is fed up of people not believing in Christmas no more. Kids are just spoiled brats, and he's sort of given up. Basically, he can't be bothered with it no more. And then he gets called to this house, and he goes to this house, and John Leguizamo has sort of took over. It's Christmas Eve, and he's got everyone hostage in there. And Santa just starts, David Harbour starts kicking ass, basically, as Santa. There's some really cool action moments in here, some great death scenes and stuff. It was just a fun movie, and it was Die Hard mismatched with Home Alone. That's basically the best way I can describe this film. I don't think there was too much Christmas spirit involved in it to make it a full Christmas feel, apart from Santa running around. But overall, I had a fun time with this. I will watch it again, maybe next year, one to grab on for the collection. I thought it was fun, but it was everything I expected it to be. Just a 7 out of 10 popcorn movie, basically. So that is Violent Night. Next up is the first TV show out of a few here that I watched this month, and that is Wednesday. I think I started this in November, but finished it in December. And this was one of the best TV shows I watched all year. I think Jenna Ortega was cast perfectly as Wednesday here. She just made the show. She was perfect for it. And this follows her going to like a Hogwarts style school, like a boarding school where everyone around there possesses magic, and they are all from different species and stuff like that. Like she shares a room with a girl who's from a werewolf family. She was great in the movie as well. And there's a big, in the TV show, sorry, there's a big mystery surrounding it because this monster is out there killing people around this little town where the boarding school is, and it's up to Jenna Ortega and her friends to basically solve the mystery. So I thought it was really good. It kept me guessing throughout. Every episode was entertaining. There is a scene where Wednesday, or Jenna Ortega, whatever, does this dance scene, and it was so funny to watch. Me and my wife were just laughing our ass off. And we watched this within, I think it was about a week, just watching it every night. And I couldn't wait to get home and watch it all the time. So I had a great time with this. I've only ever seen the first Addams Family film, but I kind of got everything that it was telling me, and everything. I don't think it's too related to the Addams Family. But I don't know. I haven't seen the second one. But full of great characters. Like I really love the hand as well. Thing his name is. So yeah, it was a great show. I highly recommend this. That is Wednesday. Next up is another Christmas movie from 2022, and that is Spirited, starring Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds. I thought this film started off poorly, and then after half an hour I kind of got into it a little bit more, and it became a really funny movie, actually. There were so many scenes where I was really in hysterics, especially involving Will Ferrell more than anyone. He was great in this. It's basically a Christmas Carol modernized, where they do it every year. They pick a person, like Will Ferrell and his gang of fantasy elves or whatever. They all work in this company, and they've got to turn someone every year who's bad. And it's kind of Ryan Reynolds' turn this year, and a lot of them think that he can't be changed because he's that bad of a person. So it's up to Will Ferrell to get in there and do the job. Basically, it was okay. It was more the funny moments elevated it a little bit for me. It's a simple movie. And if you haven't seen it this Christmas, maybe next Christmas, put it on your Christmas watch list. So that is Spirited. Next up, I watched Miss Marvel, the TV show. I'm trying to catch up with all the Marvel and Star Wars shows now, so there might be one or two more I talk about in this month. But I finally got round to this. I thought this show started off really well, and then in the middle, it kind of lulled a little bit, and at the end, it picked up, kind of like a few of the Marvel TV shows. A lot of people saying this is terrible and one of the worst shows ever made and all that. It was very average to me. I didn't mind it. The actress who played Miss Marvel, really sorry I forgot her name, she was really good in this. I am looking forward a little bit to seeing her more in the Marvel Universe in future. A lot of the side characters, though, really weren't doing it for me. It was basically she was the star of the show and kind of carried it at times, but it was okay. But that's what I can say about a lot of these Marvel shows, in all honesty. Next up, we have Christmas, Bloody Christmas. Now, I've heard a bit of praise for this film. A lot of people liked it, a lot of people hated it, and I'm more in the hated it camp. The problem is the main two characters of this movie. Now, don't get me wrong, they are good actors because they bounce off each other very, very well. They're both the same character, so it worked with what they were, the way they were in the movie. But for me, it didn't, because every other word was a fucking F-bomb, and no one talked like that. So because they were the same type of character and the dialogue worked with them two, it just didn't for me. And yeah, here's an example basically of what they were saying. So let's go out and get fucked up, huh? What are you gonna do? Fucking lie home on your fucking bed and just watch fucking movies? I mean, fuck that. Let's go out. Let's get fucking wasted. That's the type of dialogue it was. So it really put me off the both of them. I kind of hated them. And the kills did pick the movie up a little bit. There were some good kills here. And it was a Santa Claus who basically used the Terminator in a Santa Claus suit, walking around with an axe, killing people, because they've got like these robotic Santa Clauses in the shop and in the stores. But I've heard a lot of praise for how it was filmed as well, and the neon lighting and stuff. That didn't work for me. I thought that was a bit of an eyesore. So overall, this film wasn't very good for me. Apart from a few good kills, that was it. The characters I didn't like, I didn't care for. So, yeah, that is Christmas, bloody Christmas. Next up, we have Aftersun. Now, this for me might just be the most overrated film of the year. I'm sorry, Aftersun fans, if you think that this is a masterpiece or anything, but I just didn't. Now, don't get me wrong, I did like this film. I give it 3.5 on my Letterboxd. This is about a dad and his daughter who go on holiday. And, oh yeah, that's it. That is the whole film. Basically, just them two on holiday. It was kind of like watching a video of when you went on holiday with your family when you were 14. Look, don't get me wrong, I loved the two characters in this. I thought they were great. You know, he was very good dad with his daughter. His daughter was a great actress. They did work well on screen. I was just waiting for something to happen all the time and thought it was going to have a bit of a better payoff. But overall, it was just a very bland movie to me. I say bland, that's not the right word. It was just a nothing film by the end of it. Although I did enjoy it for what it was. But this, for me, isn't a 5-star film in a million years. In a million years. I just don't get it. I don't even think it was built up too much, because if this wasn't built up for me, I still probably would have had the same thing. People might just sit there and go, oh, you didn't get the movie. Whatever. Maybe I didn't. But that is Aftersun. Next up, we have a first time watch for me, and that is A Christmas Story. I always see people talk about this every year, so I give it a go. And this follows two young brothers, basically, or this young boy, sorry, I must say. He's got a younger brother. He's a little side character. And he wants this gun for Christmas. It's his most wanted Christmas present. And people are saying, you can't have it. You take your eye out all the time. That's what they keep saying to him. And you're too young for that BB gun, basically. And he just wants it and wants it and wants it. And you know what? It's a slight coming-of-age film. They do stay kids, but he's narrating the movie as an adult. And the narrator in the film was great. You know, it was just a fun movie, really. A typical Christmas spirited film at the end. Something I didn't kind of see coming with one character. And yeah, it was a good Christmas film. I really enjoyed it. I did. There was some good moments with the bully and stuff, who's always picking on them. You know, he's just got one of them typical faces that a bully would have. I thought that was quite funny. Some really funny moments in it as well, especially when they go to see Santa Claus in the shopping mall. Thought that was great. Really good payoff with the joke at the end, because he queues up to see Santa for ages and ages. And then he says, I want a BB gun for Christmas. And when he's finished, Santa's elf is just throwing him down the slide, getting the next kid on. And Santa just goes, you'll take your eye out, kid. Just throws him down the slide. And that was his big hope, to ask Santa for the BB gun. That was his chance to get it. But yeah, a decent film. I did like it. It's all set in the 50s or the 40s, though. And it does look a little bit dated, I will say that. So if you watch it next year, just expect it to look a little bit dated there. But that is A Christmas Story. Next up, I watched Athena. Now, this is about a bunch of characters who are sick of the police brutality who are all living on this estate, and they decide to basically raid the police station, get in there, take all the police officers' guns and stuff, go back to the estate and say, come on, come at us. And it's basically like a little bit of a war on the streets with the police and them characters. But the start of this movie, the first 10 minutes, was absolutely unbelievable. It was one of the best things I've ever seen on screen, all in a one-shot take of these characters just raiding the police station. I couldn't quite believe what I was seeing. It was one of the best movie moments of 2022, easily. It was so intense, and I just couldn't believe how they filmed that. I don't know if it was all improvised or it had to be choreographed. I mean, a lot of it must have been choreographed. It had to be. But to put that together in a one-shot sequence was mind-blowing. It really was. And the movie does do a lot of one-shot takes, a lot of behind the shoulder, following characters around. And it is very well directed. However, I do think it streamlines out a little bit after being here for the first 10 minutes. Kind of levels out a little bit. And I give it 3.5 on Letterboxd. Good movie. Not bad. But if you don't believe me about the first 10 minutes, just go and watch it on Netflix now, because it's absolutely incredible. That is Athena. Next up, I watched The Quiet Girl, and this for me was exactly like Aftersun. I read an article with joe.co.uk, I think it was, and they said this is the only film from the year not to receive a negative review. And I thought, well, you know what, I better watch that then. And it must have been reviewed by about 2 people, because, look, I've seen a lot of people on Letterboxd and stuff give this a high rating, but for me, it was like Aftersun. Kind of didn't really do anything, although it did have a little bit more of a message in there, I suppose, than Aftersun. It's basically about this girl who doesn't live with a very good family and stuff, and her relatives want her to go and stay with her in the summer, and she goes to stay in the house, and they're sort of made up with her, and she's sort of enjoying being with this family more than her own family, if you like. And then she has to go back sort of at one point, and that's where the movie's message does kick in a little bit there. But overall, it was just another film where not much happened. It was just her staying on this farmhouse, doing nothing, basically. Again, just a 3-star movie for me. I know a lot of people are probably shouting at the screen at this and Aftersun going, you haven't got a clue about film and stuff. It's just I do like some indie movies and stuff, but them two, I just feel a little bit overrated. That is The Quiet Girl. Next up, we have Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I haven't seen the Disney Pinocchio, but I imagine this one was a lot better anyway. I've heard a lot of people say it is, because this was a really, really good film. I thought it was really funny. Pinocchio was such a great character in this. You know, he's always arguing back. I forgot the old guy's name. I'm really sorry. I know a lot of people know his name, but I'm sorry. He's always arguing back with him. Great stop motion animation in this. Really good story. You know, very heartfelt. Yeah, it was just a good take on the Pinocchio, the classic tale of Pinocchio. Guillermo del Toro definitely puts his own art style in there, and it worked. I remember seeing images of this going, oh, I don't know about that, but yeah, for me, I thought it looked great. Just a good story. It's the typical Pinocchio story, basically, but done in a different way. So that is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Next up is The Muppets Christmas Carol, the first film I ever went to see on the cinema, and it never gets old, does it? I absolutely love this film. Basically, Michael Caine is Ebenezer Scrooge, but in a land of the Muppets. What I think works for this film, he's very, very straight and doesn't act like the Muppets do. I think that's a problem with a lot more of the Muppets films now. The characters the human characters are sort of animated as well, but here he just stands out by a mile by being this angry, unhappy person. The Muppets are all great in this. You know, it's just a really fun Christmas movie. I'm sure you've all seen The Muppet Christmas Carol. The arc Michael Caine goes on from start to finish is great. I love this one moment where he's been taken back to the present, and it's Christmas Day, which is basically going to be the next day, but whatever. And he goes to his nephew's house, and they're playing a game, and they can't hear Scrooge because it's a vision. And this woman says, "Is it a cat?" They're playing charades, I think. And Michael Caine says, "Is it a hat? Is it a cat?" And then this other woman goes, "Is it a cat?" And Michael Caine goes, "I said it first." So he's really getting involved in the game and Christmas and starting to love it and stuff. But this was a really, really fun time. It always is. Definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it next Christmas. That is a Muppet Christmas Carol. Next up is Decision to Leave. Now, I give this movie 3 stars. A lot of people have put it top of their lists or in the top 10. And I understand that I'm probably wrong here because I watched this not in the right frame of mind at all. This is about a guy who goes to investigate this murder, or this guy who's been pushed off a cliff or maybe fell off the cliff, and he doesn't quite understand if this wife is telling the story that he fell or he was pushed. He doesn't quite know what to believe, whether she's telling the truth or not. But I just wasn't in the right frame of mind for this movie. I'm sure it's a lot better than what it was. I did like it, but I kind of got lost at times, and it's just because I watched it when I was very, very tired. So I will rewatch this at some point. It's probably an unfair review, really, but that is Decision to Leave. Next up, I watched another TV show from Marvel, and that is She-Hulk. Everyone hates this more than Miss Marvel. I actually like this a little bit more than Miss Marvel. It's very, very simple to watch, quite funny in places. It's not great, it's very cringy, but it's meant to be. The first episode, I was scratching my head going, oh, this is gonna be terrible. But it picked up after that, I thought. There's an episode involving Daredevil, which was really good. At the end of the show, a lot of people criticise it for not knowing what to do with itself. I thought it actually did know what it was doing with itself, and that was the intention. It was okay. It was okay. Very, very easy watch. Probably the simplest of all the Marvel shows to watch, really. It's all a bit of a courtroom drama in places as well. It wasn't bad. I quite enjoyed it. So that is She-Hulk. Finally caught up with all the Marvel shows now, and the MCU, I'm up to date. Next up, we got Avatar. Now, I think a lot of people probably rewatched this before they went to see the new one. It's been 13 years, and I don't think many people rewatch this film often. I certainly didn't. The first time I watched this was when it came out. Yeah, this is a very good movie, actually. I mean, once you get past the technical world and this big universe that James Cameron has created and stuff, it is a very simple story, been done a lot of times in movies, but it's a fun time. Cinematically gorgeous. Not as good as another movie I'm talking about soon. It does feel a little bit dated on the avatars a little bit, but the locations and everything are just unbelievable to look at. James Cameron is a master filmmaker, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. The last 40 minutes was fantastic. So yeah, I've watched this twice now and enjoyed it both times, and we're getting a big world of Avatar now, aren't we? There's going to be one every other year for the next 3 years. So yeah, I really needed that refresher because I would have forgotten a lot of the second movie, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. So that is Avatar. Next up, I watched Glass Onion and a Knives Out Mystery. This was the last film that I watched this year that made it into my top 10. Now, I did like the first Knives Out, and I do think it's a little bit better. But this came to Netflix on the 23rd of December, and I instantly watched it that night. Basically, Ed Norton invites all these people to his island, where he has this big house called the Glass Onion, and they've all got to guess. Like, he set up a game where he gets killed, and they've all got to guess who it is, basically. And Daniel Craig accidentally gets invited there. You know what? I won't say too much more than that because the story does play out a bit more than that premise. But Rian Johnson really did write this well. I thought it all came together wonderfully. And lots of great characters in there as well. Dave Bautista is someone I can just watch all the time. Ed Norton is a fantastic actor. I love him. Kate Hudson's in there. But the big standout here was Daniel Craig. This is his best performance for me. I thought he was absolutely hilarious. The voice he gets is spot on. So many great moments involving him, especially one early on. But I can't say too much. About half an hour in. But overall, this was a good sequel from Rian Johnson, and I've heard he's making a third one, which I can't wait for. Really love the location of this as well. It's like a big sun-soaked paradise. So that is Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery. Definitely worth a go. Next up, we have Elf. Watch this on Christmas Eve. My wife watches it every year. It's her favourite Christmas film, so I always end up watching it with her. But Will Ferrell's best performance for me. I love the way he brings Buddy the Elf to life. And Buddy the Elf is basically going to search for his dad in New York, and his dad is the grumpiest person in the world. And it's kind of like a Christmas Carol in a sort of way, bringing James Caan's character around to appreciate Christmas, but using his son instead of the three ghosts. Jon Favreau is just a really fun director, isn't he? He makes lots of great fun movies, and this is one of them. A classic, basically. One of the best Christmas films ever made. I absolutely love it. So that is Elf. Next up, I watched Avatar, The Way of the Water, or Way of Water, sorry. I don't think there's any of the in there. This was cinematically one of the most spectacular films I have ever seen. It's the first time I've seen a 3D film, and I was blown away. Absolutely blown away by this movie. I couldn't quite believe what I was looking at. And like I said before, James Cameron is just a master of his craft, isn't he? He doesn't leave anything untouched. He goes through every little detail of every single moment on the screen. Good story, kind of bit like the first one, expanded a tiny bit. Stephen Lang coming back as the villain. He was the best thing about the first movie for me, character-wise. He's the best thing here as well. I thought he was awesome. A little bit long. I mean, I don't mind long movies and stuff, but there's a little bit there in the middle where I was kind of like, there's still an hour and a half to go. But overall, I did enjoy this film. It just missed out on my top 10. I think I have it like 12th or something. It's a good sequel. It's a fantastic world James Cameron is created here. And I like the way we've gone from the forest type location to the sea location here. I don't want to say too much because it's a brand new film. I don't really want to spoil anything, but the last 45 minutes there was fantastic. Great cinematic action sequences and stuff. So if you're not bothered by the runtime, definitely go and give this a go while it's on the cinema. James Cameron has spent years making this movie, and you can tell. So that is Avatar, The Way of Water. Next up, I watched Strange World. Missed this one at the cinema. It came to Disney Plus. And I thought this movie started off okay, and then it kind of just went, kind of like Lightyear this year. Just felt very, very generic. Didn't have too much to say. And by the end of the movie, I was just like, can't Disney do something else now? They follow the same formula all the time. And you can just see everything coming. Everything is so predictable. But basically, they go into this world underneath our world, basically under the ground, and there's all weird creatures and stuff living down there, and they're a family of explorers basically. But it was okay. I didn't love it. I give it 2.5, which is watchable to me. It was on for a 3, and then I give it 2.5. Nothing special. You might like it a bit more than I do, but this seems to be the general consensus for this film, is that it's just okay. So that is Strange World. Next up, we're going to have my older release of the month, and that is Shaun of the Dead. Now, I watched this when it first came out, and I didn't like the movie at all. I don't know why. I think it was kind of mocking horror at the time, and everything that was coming out felt like comedy horror, and I just wanted plain horror. And I kind of just brushed it to one side and went, yeah, whatever. But I rewatched this the other day. I've been wanting to rewatch it for years now, and I kind of loved it. It basically follows Simon Pegg in a post-apocalyptic world. Sorry, in a zombie outbreak. The world has been taken over by zombies. You get the gist. There's some funny moments in here. Some of the comedy is a little bit dated. But overall, this was a really fun time. Really like Sean's mum in this. I thought she was a really funny character. The Winchester pub is just this pub that he's obsessed with, and his girlfriend's getting sick of going in there every night, and then where do you think they try and reside to be safe? The Winchester. Lots of great characters in this, lots of great side characters. Yeah, I had a fun time with this. Some decent gore moments as well. It's a classic British movie. There's one point in this where Sean walks the shop, and it's all done in a one-shot sequence, and I can imagine a lot of people talking about that back in the day, how great it was, the way it was directed, and it probably was, but it's just mad to me now that we've got full movies directed like that. But yeah, I had a fun time with this, and I'm glad I've rewatched it. I appreciate it a lot more this time. That is Shaun of the Dead. Last up, I watched the Book of Boba Fett. Now, I told you I was watching the Marvel and Star Wars shows to catch up. And you know what? I watched this last year, about 3 episodes, and I didn't like it. Me and my wife gave up on it, but this time I actually really did like it. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I watched the original trilogy not long ago and I appreciated them a lot more, which maybe made me appreciate this a lot more. Basically, following the events after Return of the Jedi, Boba Fett actually does get out that pit and goes on a journey. It flashes back and forth as to a couple of months, I think, after that, and how he first got out. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Now, a lot of people do say it picks up on the last 3 episodes, but I was kind of the opposite. I was loving Boba Fett's journey. Then the Mandalorian sort of comes into it for 2 episodes, and I was like, this is a Boba Fett show, not the Mandalorian. But then the last episode does sort of get them coming together, and it's a great finale. So overall, I really enjoyed this show, and I've got Obi-Wan next. I don't know if I'm going to like that as much as this, but we'll see. But I'm really looking forward to catching up on Andor. But that is the Book of Boba Fett. I thought that was a really, really good show. I enjoyed it. Okay, guys, hope you all enjoyed this end of month vlog, if you like. Now, going into this year, I'm probably going to be watching a lot more Blu-ray content. This month, I spent a lot of time catching up on 2022 films. I'm going to mix it up this year a little bit and watch lots of older stuff with the newer stuff. I'm only going to watch newer stuff if I fancy it. I'm not going to have to be forcing myself to watch something like Sea Beast or Senior Year or something like that. I'll just be watching new movies that I have even a slight interest in. I'm not going to be watching anything I don't care about. So there'll probably be a lot more Blu-rays to show off in future as well on these videos. But if you want more of these videos, they'll be down below. And if you want to see my RRR review, that will be down below as well. So thanks so much, guys. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe if you like this content. Take it all easy. I'll see you on the next video.